Alright, well, hello physical science students and welcome to this video lecture. Probably the last video lecture in this unit on matter. So this video lecture is going to go through a very specific quantity that we have in science, and that quantity is pressure. And this might seem random, but pressure has a pretty important role when we talk about matter. Before we get into what pressure can actually do with matter, we need to know what pressure is. And our technical definition for pressure is it's the force which is applied per some area by a gas, liquid, or solid. And now this pressure can be applied actually to that gas, liquid, or solid as well. We have an equation for pressure that we use in science, and that is that pressure is equal to the force divided by the area. Okay, and I can even write these words out for you so you know what those things mean. Okay, so that's our mathematical definition, and then here is your verbal definition. Now, there's quite a few factors which can actually affect the pressure with which a gas, liquid, or solid feels or gives off. First is just the amount of particles. The amount of particles within a piece of matter, not amounts. Amount of particles. So, let's say that we have a gas and we intentionally increase the number of particles in that gas. Well, what's that going to do? That's going to increase the number of collisions within that gas, which is then going to increase pressure. So the amount of particles, if we increase the amount of particles, we also have increased pressure. Now that can go the other way too. Let's say that we somehow intentionally take away particles of gas or whatever type of matter. Well, then we're actually going to be decreasing the amount of pressure. Okay. Next factor which can affect pressure is volume. Volume. All right, so if I increase the amount of volume, let's just imagine that we have a gas. Well, if I increase the amount of volume of the container that gas is in, that's going to spread those particles out. So there's going to be fewer collisions between those gas particles. So if I increase volume, if I increase my volume, I'm actually going to be decreasing the pressure. Now notice that with both of these factors so far, I've been talking about collisions. That's what actually causes the pressure, is that it's these collisions between the particles of that matter. Okay, so if I increase the volume, I'm increasing the volume of that container. That's going to decrease the number of collisions, therefore my pressure decreases. And then again, vice versa. If I decrease my volume, well, my pressure then is going to increase because I'm making those collisions more likely. Now, one more factor which can affect pressure is temperature. Okay, this is the last one, temperature. Now, if we increase the temperature by adding some form of energy, typically heat, we're going to be increasing the speed of those molecules. Remember when I danced like a crazy person the other day? So if we're increasing temperature, we're increasing the speed of those molecules, which is going to lead to more collisions. So in that way, if we increase our temp, we're going to increase our pressure. And again, we can go vice versa there. If we take away heat energy, and therefore we're decreasing temperature, well, then we're also going to be decreasing our pressure. All right, so now knowing things that can actually affect pressure, now the big question is, can pressure affect states of matter? So can pressure actually help us go from one state to the next? Well, to give you an example, or just to give you a visual here, let's say that I'm going to have 3 different containers, okay? But I'm going to have the same... so let's say I have a lid here, okay, and I have some type of matter in there. All right, now I'm going to say that this is when we're in a gas state. So this is when we're in a gas. We have this type of matter, whatever. Now, notice that my molecules or my particles, whatever we want to call these right now, are very spread out. Okay. Now, let's say that I wanted to actually increase the pressure within this container. Well, what would I do? Well, if we reference back to our last slide, we can actually change the volume within this container. We can lower this lid. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to now put this lid down here, and notice that my particles are now much closer. They're much closer together. They're more tightly packed. So by actually increasing the pressure, by lowering the volume, we turn this matter into a liquid. Okay, we actually turn that gas into a liquid by actually manipulating the pressure. Now we can go a step further, and we can drop that volume even more by lowering that lid again, and now those particles are really packed in there. Okay, they are really packed in there because we decrease the volume, therefore we increase the pressure. So we actually then turn this piece of matter into a solid. Okay, so by understanding how we can alter pressure, we can definitely get matter to change states because of a change in pressure. Okay, here's just one example. This is just changing the volume. We're going to be talking about some other ways that we can use pressure to change matter in class on Tuesday. So I hope that this tutorial gave you, or this video lecture, I always say tutorial, I don't know why. I hope this video lecture gave you an idea of what pressure actually is and how pressure is very important when we talk about states of matter and phase changes. So take care, physical science students.